No. Okay, we're here. Welcome, everyone. We're having a nice chat about Christmas baking and um, all the busyness at this time of year that's happening. Hmm. So today I'm inspired by a quote from, well, debatable, but it's cited in this book, Boundless Heart, which we've been doing as a course, some of us in person here in Fergus, and it's a really great book by Christina Feldman. I'll put the link to her book down below, and it's about the four Brahma Viharas or heart abode qualities. And we just finished up this 12-week series today. In here, Christina Feldman cites this quote as coming from Johann Wolfgang Goethe. Goethe? Goethe. Goethe. Sorry, Johann. But you get the gist. And but when I looked it up to find out, first of all, more about who he was and where this quote is attributed to, like which book. He was a playwright and author and mm, what they call a polymath, someone that has many talents. And it's not real. I don't think the quote comes from him. She doesn't cite where, but anyways, quoteinvestigator.com, which is a super cool website, where it's like, who actually said this? They they and many other sources attribute it to someone named Haim Ginott, 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 Ginott. That sounds better. Um, in 1972 wrote a book called Teacher and Child, a book for parents and teachers, and several other sources attribute that quote to him. And quoteinvestigator.com says, has this whole article. So I try to cite who things are attributed to. So I don't know, basically. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm going to give it to Haim. He was a teacher, child psychologist, and psychotherapist who worked with children and parents, and um, he pioneered techniques for conversing with children that are still taught today. Um, yeah, so that's lovely. And yeah, so sorry, I'm not entirely sure who this comes from, but it's most excellent either way. And it's very, very Dharma quote. So one of them said, I have come to the frightening conclusion. It is frightening, I'll tell you. I have come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. I possess tremendous power to make life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis is escalated or de-escalated, and a person humanized or dehumanized. It's really strongly worded, and I, it's a little bit triggering because it's yeah, this frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element. It doesn't say that I am 100% responsible for all the causes and conditions that gave rise to this moment, right? It's not saying that it, it's not talking about children who are being raised in an abusive environment that like that they're the decisive element. Hell no. Um, but it's talking about us now as adults practicing meditation, practicing training the mind, training our awareness, training our heart, that how we respond moment by moment, how we respond to the present moment conditions that are arising here and now, that is the decisive element. And this is what karma is about, karma. Oh, I heard people at pickleball the other day talking, like doing that thing, oh, that's karma. I'm like, oh, no, it isn't. That's not how it works. I did make a few comments, but yeah, so karma is about understanding our boundless interconnectedness and boundless causes and conditions beyond what we could conceive that give rise to this moment in this experience is showing up like this. And we then have agency to how we respond, which conditions the next moment. Uh, and and this is, I think, partly what's being pointed to here. And I've been thinking about this and how even, you can be in a room full of people that are fighting or talking trash or being unskillful or, all the ways, greed, hatred, and delusion. And it's so easy to get swept along into it, right? And, but if you sit there being mindful of the reactivity and in your own heart, body, mind, and you choose when to speak or say, stay silent or I love this part, whether someone is humanized or dehumanized. I love that reminder. Am I able to see all the causes and conditions that are bringing up all this reactivity around us and in our own being? And then decide, am I going to be part of escalating this or, um, yeah, it's my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather, like our internal weather, right? And how it's so easy. We do have such tremendous power to make our own lives and the lives of others, if we have the chance, miserable or joyous. Um, we can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. Uh, is a powerful and difficult, like as he says, one of them says, a frightening conclusion. Like it's pretty kind of heavy, right? It's like, whoa, to actually take responsibility for what we bring to a moment is big. And it really has to do with what the Buddha taught of our perceptions. And hmm, perceptions are something that instantly happens. It's just a function of how this system moves in the world. That when our sense doors make contact with a sense object, so if this eye sense door makes contact with this lamp form, there's immediately um, Vedana happens, which is this it's before it becomes liking and disliking or not paying attention. It's just pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Most things in our environment through all the sense doors are pretty neutral most of the time, like not noticed. And But our when something is pleasant, we're drawn to it, and when it's unpleasant, we don't want it. After that Vedana, almost like the next instant, like simultaneous almost, it happens so quickly, perception happens. And perception is where, like I just did, I just named that as a lamp and placed it there and had a there's all kinds of memories that say this is what a lamp is. There's all kinds of language and stories, and oh, maybe that reminds me of a lamp at my grandma's house. Then it becomes mental formations and a whole bunch of stories about it. But this, when we look closely, we can start to see that our perceptions are constructed and built moment by moment. Our world is constructed moment by our perceptions. And we go through most of our life believing that our mind is like a mirror, just like accurately reflecting the moment, life as it is. We think, yeah, what I see, what I feel, what I think, what I hear is just like my mind is like a mirror that's just showing me exactly life in this moment. And this is so far from the truth because the person sitting right beside me is having a completely different experience of the moment, and everyone else is having a completely different view and history and perceptions and formations. The mind is not a mirror of reality, of truth. Um, and we're so deceived and so tempted to assume that it's a universal world. How I'm seeing things and feeling it and understanding it and liking it or not liking it is how it is and universal. And why don't they see it the way I see it? It seems so obvious to us. This is how it is. Um, and then we feel so bewildered, so confused, so um, when our views and assumptions are not shared by others. And it's so upsetting and so confusing um, when it's not in total alignment with our own perceptions and views. And this becomes such a quick and easy source of conflict and alienation. It's really difficult to untether ourselves from our views and just see it's just my views. It's all my conditioning, it's all my perceptions, and they are having a completely different world experience. So then this gives you the chance to either humanize or dehumanize others and see they're having a completely different experience than I am and are feeling and seeing and thinking about this supposedly same thing in a completely different way. This really, that's the humanizing part. It's like, okay, wow, we really see this differently. I don't know if we have a meeting ground here. And I can still care about you and also I don't need to ask you to move in with me. It's okay to have boundaries. Um, in here, Christina says, I don't know, I haven't researched this, so I'm just gonna relay what she's saying. Mm. She's talking about perception and says it becomes one of the primary building blocks of our world of experience in the moment, just what we've been talking about. But she says perception travels the same neural pathways as memory. So in the, brain science and the neural pathways, memory and perception, right? So how we're seeing any given moment and situation and anything that's coming through any of the sense doors is directly related to memory. This is how it's been for us. This is what we've been taught. This is what we've experienced, etc. Um, and how you can watch this with, well, she gives lovely examples here. Um, the smell of garlic wafting from the kitchen evokes a flood of memories of falling in love in an Italian restaurant. The sight of a person evokes our past experience with that person, whether it's lovely or unlovely. A painful sensation in our back brings us into the past world of a life beset by back pain and imagining a future limited by pain. We see someone who has the eyes like those of our difficult father, and we are cast back to relive painful childhood memories. You see, so how we perceive the present moment is directly related to these neural pathways of memory. And the Buddha knew this 2,600 years ago, so that's cool. Um, One thing I really want to point out that she says so well here is how this function of perception, um, how we believe it mistakenly, believe it to be a mirror of the of life in that moment. Um, we use our perceptions as a form of protection from the fear of uncertainty, the fear of not knowing, actually, which is actually how it is. We don't know. Most of the time, we don't know. But the mind, the whole system, is just like an animal surviving, and we feel safer when we impose our perceptions on things because not knowing can feel scary. And that fear of a lack of control, the fear of uncertainty gives more strength to our perceptions, our belief that this is how it is and this is right. And um, yeah, and so the more we can practice being able to rest in not knowing, being able to have times of like, huh, or even practice like saying, I don't know. It's a good thing. It's not easy for some of us, but I don't know. I don't know. It's really great when you hear somebody say it, not in a way of like always doubting themselves, like, oh, I don't know. Like not that kind of self that's an insecurity, but a really open curiosity, like, oh, I don't know how they see it. That's interesting. It certainly seems to that they pretty sure they see it differently than I do, but I don't really know. And it's really freeing to be with that. Um, let me just see if there's anything else I want to add to this. Yeah, there's so much to learn and understand about this function of perception, but I think that's enough of an introduction to it. I have come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. I possess tremendous power to make life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis is escalated or de-escalated and a person is humanized or dehumanized. Yeah, good food for thought at this time of maybe more social gatherings or extended family gatherings, which are the hardest of all. To maybe keep this in mind. Different perceptions, and it's up to me how I'm going to react or respond, and am I going to stay internally true to my values and ethics and values of non-harm. Hmm. Yeah, I think that's all. Hmm. Oh, let's have a practice where we can cultivate this ability so that it will support us in daily life, which is where it matters most. All right. So settling in to your posture, setting aside distractions. Part of this is being able to cultivate stillness and this inner stillness and capacity to be in the midst of how things are. So we set aside distractions, let the eyes and hands come to rest. And let ourselves really abide here to whatever degree is possible, as much as possible. Abide in this body, this conditioned reality that's here right now. Just feeling your weight, feeling your flesh, your skin, your muscles, your bones. And then begin to check in with your habit places of tension, seeing if there's tension in the face or the skull, the temples, the jaw. Just bringing some caring awareness and softness or space with those tensions. Checking in with the muscles of the neck and shoulders. Is there anything here that could find a bit of ease? Feeling into the torso, chest and ribs, back, heart, belly. Is it helpful to take a few slightly deeper breaths? Feeling where the body is touching the support that you're on. And let yourself really receive that support, settle into it, rest with it. And then just floating open the awareness a little bit wider to realize all of your sense doors, even if your eyes are closed, there's still light and shadow and movement that's seen. There's sounds coming and going, tastes in the mouth, scents meeting the nose. All of these touch sensations that we're just guiding ourselves through. And also the mind sense door. All these thoughts flowing through, coming and going. And then watch and just have a light awareness that these are all, with all of these contacts, perceptions are immediately happening. We name the sounds and tastes and smells and sights, and we place them. Some of them we like, some we don't like, some we don't notice. And this isn't something we stop or try to control or try to get rid of. It's just how the system works. Perception happens. But what we can do is just see it as that function of perception. It's not a mirror of reality in the moment. It's just our perceptions. And every one of us is experiencing completely different perceptions in this moment. This moment and every moment is fluid, dynamic, ever changing. May I open to the experience of not knowing. just abiding in awake awareness, all of these sense door contacts coming and going, and nothing needs to be solidified, frozen, clung to, as if we know. May I open to the truth of not knowing. May I cultivate or grow my capacity to find ease in stillness. May I cultivate ease in stillness, which gives us that little space to respond rather than react. May I grow my capacity to be equally near to all things, all views. May my awareness grow to continue to humanize rather than dehumanize others. May I see clearly that my mind is not a mirror of the world, not accurately reflecting life as it is. It's just perceptions. May I see that my sense of knowing the world or other people or myself is often just a form of protection, fear of uncertainty. May I open and rest in not knowing. May I grow and cultivate ease with stillness. May I cultivate equanimity, being equally near to all things, resting in the midst of the waves of life. If you notice any thoughts or stories proliferating or growing and getting hooked into something, you could just come back to the beginning sensations, the contact of the body here with these touch senses, coolness and warmth and pressure and all of the sensations of the body grounded here. The more we rest in not knowing, the more alive and awake and curious we are. Perceptions filter out so much of what's happening and just categorizes and puts in a box. Right now, in this moment, there's so many inputs and sensations and thoughts just flowing through. An awareness just resting, open, awake, curious, responsive. When we see all things anew, our responsiveness is rooted in immeasurable kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, which are as boundless as life itself. Free of the prison of views, we abide in a fluid, unfolding world that has no center. Free of the prison of views, we abide in a fluid, unfolding world that has no center. Hmm. I hope there's something freeing for you in there. or at least curious. Curiosity is good. And hope to practice with you again. I think, what day is it today? It's the 10th. Holy. So next week I'll be here. That's the 17th, but then not the 24th. And then I'll be at the New Year's retreat. Um, and let me just look now that I'm thinking. Oh, yeah. And then I'm away the first week of January. Oh, that's a couple weeks there. All right. I'm here next week. So let's go with that. And there'll be emails about the other stuff. Thanks for joining us.